Do I not want to die from COVID at this rate that occurred in this world? Or do I not want to die from this complication from the vaccine itself, the heart failure? So make your decision.
When woke apologist Neil deGrasse Tyson meets Patrick Bet-David, he gets destroyed. You want to see what happens when logic collides with left-wing delusion? Then keep watching, because this is a slaughterhouse.
So you'll say, I might be in that 1,500, so I'm not going to take. Then you get COVID and die from COVID, right? So you just make the decision.
You know what I would say to that? But you know what I would say to that?
What would you say?
Here's what I would say to that. I would say, perfect. Let me take the risk. And thank you for giving it to me that way versus telling me it's one or the other, which is how it was presented.
You are informed fully about what the risks are. But like I said, as a species, we're not very good at thinking statistically about it. We're just not. And when we want to, we believe we're going to be the exception. And look at the people betting on lotteries. You know, they think they're going to win.
But for me, like, you know, the moment they started saying you have to put on cigarettes, the risk of heart failure, cancer, this, that. And if you still want to smoke cigarettes, guess what? You got a risk if you smoke cigarettes. You may get lung cancer, right? Hey, if you eat this, if you do this, if you do that.
Yeah, we've denied your admission to the bar. There's a cost to that because it's a public health issue. And so, right. You are free to smoke the cigarette, but not in my establishment, by law.
Not in your establishment.
By law.
By law.
Correct.
No problem.
Right.
Totally fine.
But that's an example.
But if you want to smoke cigarettes outside,
Neil,
you can.
And you can live on the beach unvaccinated, that's fine.
Neil, let me ask you this. So what state?
When Adam says you can smoke cigarettes outside, and Neil smugly replies, yeah, well, you can live on the beach unvaccinated, that's fine. Let's be real. That wasn't just condescending, it was downright obnoxious. Smoking outside is legal. No one bans you from society for it. You don't lose your job. You don't get banned from school. You don't get denied entry to restaurants, flights, or public buildings. But if you're unvaccinated, suddenly you're a leper. Exiled, canceled, demonized. So, no, Neil, living on the beach unvaccinated isn't fine. It's a dismissive fantasy that ignores how millions of people were ostracized, punished, and pushed to the margins of society simply for making a personal medical decision. That's not science, Neil. That's state-sanctioned segregation. And pretending otherwise is as arrogant as it is dangerous.
Would you say was the most responsible during COVID?
State? I don't know. I never looked.
So if you're a stats guy. I have
no idea.
Okay, I'm a stats guy as well. I like stats, but I'm more financial. I'm not like, you know, but I understand what you're saying.
A lot of stats and finance.
I'm a baseball guy, so I like stats. I'm all about stats. I love baseball. So if we look at the stats, the media made Florida seem the most irresponsible state. That's what the media made it look. Okay,
we're in Florida right now. You guys do have kind of a bad reputation on a lot of stuff.
Okay, sure. So, and by the way, I've lived in California 24 years, 5 years in Texas, 2 years in Florida. Okay, just so you know my background.
That's right. Okay.
10 years in Iran, 2 years in Germany. That's kind of my background. A couple years in the military. But if we say, hey, if we look at the data, the most irresponsible state was Florida. You would have heard many times news telling you that. When I'd go to California and I would say, I'm in Florida, I'm like, oh my God, you're in Florida. Oh my, it's horrible. But you know what I realized? Here's what I realized. If the state of Florida is so bad, why did the NBA during Black Lives Matter host the playoffs in Florida?
In the bubble.
If Florida
I thought they created a bubble for themselves.
But why did they come here? They could have done it in Texas. Texas got plenty of places they could do it. And why did they do it here?
I don't know.
But the point is, they felt safest.
Wait, I'm not going to use the NBA as a measure of what is
They also
safe.
did the Super Bowl here.
A lot of the Super Bowl was here. I'll give you another one. Pro-vaccine AOC for vacation, she came to Miami. People from New York and California were partying for Miami. During COVID, when everybody was looking for a home during Christmas where to go to, you couldn't go to Colorado. You couldn't go to Lake Tahoe because it sucked. You had all these other choices. Everybody came to Florida.
I'm not going to judge the safety of a. I can't use that as a statistics of safety. I can't. I don't care who chooses where to vacation. I care what your death rates are, what your vaccination rates are, what your hospitalization rates are. That would be an objective measure from state to state. What state are you most likely to die in from COVID? That's a statistic I would pay attention to. What state has the least hospital beds to accommodate those who are sick from COVID, even if they're not going to die from COVID? I would want to know that. I'm not going to base a decision on whether the NBA chose to put their bubble in the state.
Well, statistically, New York and California does not look good. Statistically, New York and California, and they're supposed to be the most responsible ones. Those two states didn't look good. All I'm saying is, from my end, in a space where I sit there and I listen to you and I learn, I say, oh my gosh, okay, I had no clue about that. That was brilliant. That's interesting. Let me go research. Let me go look at this. I'm a guy that likes debate of experts in two different sides, and let them make the argument. And I'm mature enough to know the better salesman doesn't necessarily have the better argument.
Good. But let me just say that there's nothing I've said in the last half hour that is a debating point. All I'm telling you, well, you can debate whether you should still be able to work and put other workers at risk for not having vaccinated. You can debate that.
Yeah.
In the context of public health, that's a risk factor that we don't want to introduce to other people because of your decisions. That's a public health issue. It's been going on basically for 100 and something years since, who's the woman who, there's some famous medical case, a person who spread, what is that case?
Recently?
No, 100 years ago.
Oh.
It created a whole wave of sanitation rules and things for public health sake.
I'm not familiar.
But anyway, the point is, I want to make sure you know you can focus on the 1,500 people who died after the vaccine.
Mary Mallon? You're talking about the history of typhoid fever?
Yeah, Typhoid Mary. Yes, thank you.
Typhoid Mary. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know her last name.
Yeah.
I thought typhoid was her first name.
Typhoid Mary.
Okay. Wait. So it's simply a matter of, if you're saying you don't want to be in the 2,000, whatever the number is, who died after the vaccine from heart failure at the peak of your physical career, not totally necessarily factoring in all the other abuses that went on over that time that may have contributed to it. Instead, you want to take the risk of COVID and not be one of the 20 million people who would have died and didn't, right? So I just want you to have the statistics in front of you. And it seems to me most people would, in most cases, choose the path that reduces their chance of death.
But by the way, I don't disagree.
That's why I'm not debating. I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there.
But this part of what you're saying, I'm 100% with you. This is.
It's not a matter of being with me. It's just, are you with the decision making of what is rational statistical analysis?
But this position is not an arrogant position. This position is kind of like when you're sitting there, and you tell the doctor, "So, doc, what do I do? Do I get the surgery?" Like, we have one of my good friends right now is getting a brain surgery in the next couple of weeks. She's afraid. Now, she believes in God, so faith is kind of calming her down, but she's afraid. Okay, the doctor says, there's a 10% chance you're not going to make it. Mm-hmm. Do you want to, for the rest of your life, live having to take that medication with the side effects, or do you want to do the surgery? The individual is making a decision to get the surgery. She knows the chances is what? 10%. You know what I say to that? Hey, at least I know the risk. Versus, no, if you take this, you won't get anything. Propaganda, selling me this. Like, what's the three things that you say? There's three different types of truth, right? It's objective truth, personal truth,
and political truth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the one I have a problem with. And I agree with you.
Should we all?
And that's the part I have a problem with. I'm personal truth, let's debate, have fun with it. Great. Let the audience.
Personal truth. Yeah. You want to debate personal truth.
Exactly. That's cool.
Okay. Kirk or Picard,
yes.
Whatever.
Yes.
But is that a Star Trek reference?
Dude, who let him in?
I'm sorry.
Who let him in?
They've been asking that question for years.
The political truth, I think, is what brought a lot of division in households and companies, different places.
Of course,
I think that's what happened the last 2.5 years, specifically with that.
Neil deGrasse Tyson isn't just wrong. He's a spokesperson for the Matrix. Polished, credentialed, programmed. He defends control over freedom because he serves the system, not the truth. If you're done with the lies and the gaslighting, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe.